Okay, we're back on another episode of the Waterford FC official podcast, and I'm delighted to say joining me this week on the podcast is the gaffer, Graham Coughlan. Graham, first of all, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm sure this is something that a lot of the fans have been hoping that we would do from people I've spoken to and stuff like that. So it's good to finally get it together, and for you to make the time to be here with us. I'd just like to say, I suppose, things have definitely gone on an upward trajectory since you've been here. How have you found your time since you arrived?
It's been brilliant. Look, as you quite rightly said, it's an upward trajectory. So I need to, we need to enjoy that rather than be looking back or looking forward. We need to enjoy the moment. I'm not daft. I know it's not always going to be on an upward trajectory. I know there's going to be one or two sticky moments ahead. But over the last 2-3 months, it's been really, really good. It's been really enjoyable. And I just want the fans, I want everybody at the football club to go and enjoy those moments, because we'll all have to dig deep and roll our sleeves up when the sticky moments come. But when you're in good moments, go and enjoy them. Yeah, go and enjoy it as much as we possibly can.
As we record this, we're not too far removed from a great result against Bohemians at home. A 3-1 win, which, to be honest, and I think it's fair to be honest on this podcast as well, felt like something that was completely unattainable earlier on this season. We mentioned even before we press record that, the fans got involved in a little bit of singing, a bit of banter, they enjoyed themselves, and you rightly said that we deserved it because there wasn't a lot to cheer about. When you came in, how much of a mountain did it feel like to even get to that point? Or did it at all?
Well, look, it wasn't the Wicklow mountain. It was maybe an Everest type of mountain that we had to climb. So look, it was a hell of a challenge. But I just looked at the squad. I just looked at the players individually, and I knew there was something not right. I knew there was something that there was more there to give. And there was little tweaks, and if I looked at the last couple of seasons, the top goal scorer in the league, Padraig Drummond, you've got people like Kev Long was here, and you've got a Tommy Lonergan and players like that who've done it at other clubs, who've been there, done that, got the tissue, and I just thought there was so much to work with. Yes, I couldn't have predicted, I couldn't have dreamt of it going as well as it has done, and that's testament to the group, testament to the players. But it was always going to be tough. It still will be. There's a long, long way to go. Let's not forget that. Mm-hmm. We've done nothing, absolutely nothing as of yet. We've a long way to go. So to work with players like that, to work with goal scorers, to work with lads that have that type of quality, that type of background, it was just too good of an opportunity to turn down. Look, I could be a little bit, if you don't mind, I'll be honest as well. Please. I was getting back to see my mum and dad as well. That was a big, because they're at a stage in their life now where I want to spend time with them, want to see them, because for the last 32 years I've been away, building my own career, building my own family, and looking after my kids and things like that. So I just felt that at this moment in time, the timing was perfect for me to come back and spend time with them, meet my brother as well. And so look, I suppose in football, timing, life, timing, everything, timing is so key, and it all fell into place for me.
It's good, obviously, for yourself and for us that it happened that way. But I would like to know a little bit more about how it does come about. It kind of came out of left field for us, definitely as supporters, let alone people inside the club. Obviously with the manager departed, who we brought in at the beginning of the season, didn't work out. That is what it is. It's no problem. But there's, in the League of Ireland, I suppose, there's only a certain amount of people who've been around. You start getting linked to those types of people. And then, because it's such a small pool, they get dismissed or stuff leaks. This seemed to just kind of happen. You were just announced. Is that how it happened behind the scenes, or was there more to it than that?
No, there was. I had a commitment. I had a commitment already till the end of the season that I'd taken on to help. Sam Foley asked me would I come into Barrow to help him. Sam was given the interim manager's job at Barrow. Now I'd gone in to help him, and I didn't want to let Sam down. I didn't want to step away mid survival race for him. I was doing very little. I was getting a little bit frustrated in at Barrow. At Barrow, I wasn't doing what I needed to do or wanted to do, or. So I was a little bit frustrated, but I still wouldn't and couldn't step away. I'd shook Sam's hand, I'd shook Barrow's hand that I would help them. So kind of, it was one of them. Then when I got a phone call, I said, well, look, I'm in the middle of something. Come back to me. So they come back to us and they kept in touch. And then I think it was a Monday. I got a phone call on a Monday. The season had ended on the Saturday. I got a phone call on the Monday, and I would think I was over here on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you say quick, it was really, really, really quick. Now I had broached the subject with family. I broached the subject with my kids and spoke to them about it. And then obviously I had to go to the boss and see what she was saying to me. So yeah, she was delighted. She size 9 up the backside, off you go. She had my bags and all packed before I could even contemplate it. Yeah. But yeah, we're at a stage in our lives, myself and the wife, that the kids have grown up. The kids are old enough. And not only that, I've lived a lot of my life obviously away from home, being Irish, living in England, but even at home in England, home where I call Sheffield, I've been down in Southend, I've been down in Bristol, I've been down in Newport. Now they're hours, 3.5 hours away from the house. So I'm kind of used to this scenario. I'd never really lived at home in Sheffield, never really stayed in the house. So it was nice that I was at home and I was working at Barrow, travelling in and out every day. That was nice. But she knew there was something missing. She knew I wasn't myself. She knew I wasn't quite myself, and she just said to me, well, if it floats your boat, if it tickles your fancy, go and do it. So we took it up, and the rest is history.
And we all just spoke about it a minute ago, how bad a 3.5 hour drive can be for certain individuals in a car and stuff like that. So you don't want to be doing that all the time. So it's good you're close to the RSC. Speaking of the RSC and the fans and stuff like that, like we did speak about it as well, you know, especially, you know, last weekend against Bows and the atmosphere and what's happening. How important do you think all that is, and what was your reaction to what the fan base is here in Waterford, especially being in England for so long and not being involved with the League of Ireland?
Look, it's a passionate fan base. Again, being Irish, I lived in Ireland until, what was it, 20 when I went away, 1920, something like that. So I knew exactly how passionate the Irish people are, the Irish fan base is, irrespective of the code or the sport. I'm built like that myself, so that was never in question. My job now is to try and grow that and try and make that bigger and bigger and more noisier and more of fun and more appealing to them to come in through the doors. So they've been brilliant. They've absolutely been brilliant. And like I said it a few weeks ago, a couple of, what did I describe them as, space cadets?
Yeah.
Who goes to Galway at 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon unless you're having a weekend up there? But flares on the terrace, and it was raining that day as well, and it was a brilliant scene. I know I shouldn't say that, I'll get into trouble because you're not allowed flares or whatever the technicalities are of that, but I just thought, wow, look at that. And do you know what, if I'm seeing it, the players are seeing it. If I'm hearing it, the players are hearing it. So the players feed off it as well. And we come in, I think I mentioned you on the way over in the car, we come in after a warm-up, and I'm in the change room, the players are out on the pitch coming in, and the noise that's generated above us, because remember, they're all sat in the seats, well, supposed to be sat in the seats, above us.
Yep.
And we can hear the terrace and the seating, the dressing room, the walls vibrating, the noise is coming through the terrace into the changing room. So at times the lads don't put the music on. We have a music box and you get the music on to get you going or whatever the players do nowadays. We don't need to do that. We can hear the noise of the lads upstairs, and they're banging the drum and they're singing and the feet is going. And it's just, you know what, things like that are infectious, and it gives you so much energy. And the lads go out, and I think, I'm not factually, but I think an awful lot of our fast starts is to do with the atmosphere, the noise and the energy that the crowd generate for us. And we have been starting games really, really well. So touch wood, that continues, and I don't put the kiss of death on it. But I think the fans have played a massive, massive part in that. And it has to be that way all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think it's so important to point that out, because although, you know, I'm a football fan, I've been a football fan my whole life, I think it's very easy to underestimate just what the connection actually is there. You think it's a massive disconnection, but it's quite the opposite. And it was only when I was in the tunnel after the game against Bohemians that one of the players, I won't name him, I don't want to embarrass him, but he came up to me and he just said, since I've been here, that's the best atmosphere I've seen. And I felt like the players are really taking it on board. So I do think it's important that the fans know what it means to you guys. And you even said to me that you've said to the lads, listen to that.
Yeah, it was probably no Winnie. That was his first game, was it?
Well, no, I'm not saying who it was.
No, look, you know, we feed off them, they feed off us. We have to give them something to look at, something to get energised about, and something to make noise about. And likewise, when we're a little bit flat, when we're a little bit lacking energy, they have to then get behind us and give us that energy. Now, they've been brilliant. I go back to my second game, was it, against Derry, when we were 2-1 up, and it was the last 10, 15 minutes to go. And we were probably a little bit nervous. We were probably a little bit on the back foot, trying to protect that first victory. We were chasing that first victory, trying to protect it. And the fans were absolutely brilliant. And they knew, and you could hear, and you could actually feel the passion that they had, and the will to win, the will to just get that first victory. Now that we didn't at 94th minute.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, then there was like a pin drop. And that night, I kind of thought to myself, going back to your original question about the importance of the fans, that night, the silence in the ground, the disappointment in the ground. And I kind of thought that night, I says, we're going to need these guys. These guys are going to play such a big and important role. And I just felt, well, if we can get it, if it goes that flat so quickly, can we pump it up and get it as noisy and as probably intimidating the opponent,
sure.
if we can. And look, the fans have got a great connection with the players, and likewise players with fans. But I've always been a fan of football. Look, if I'm not on the sidelines coaching, if I'm not on the pitch playing, I'll be in the terraces supporting. I'll be having a beer with the fans. I'll be singing songs with fans. Every club I've played for, I've gone back and supported them. I go all over the world with Ireland, Celtic. You know, I just love football. I love atmosphere. I love that type of. So I know the importance, and I know how that connection has to be and how strong it is. So. Look, long may it continue, because you know what football is like. It can all change in a moment.
Yeah, and it's it is moments as well. Like looking back at that Derry game, it felt like something changed that night. Obviously, I've never heard silence like a pin drop, like what you said, like when that Derry equaliser went in. But there was a realisation after it. I felt like in the terraces, in the stands, okay. They got us. They got us the black eye in the last minute, but something's changing within this squad. It does feel like a turning point looking back at it. But like you say, to your point, Graham, still a long season to go, still a lot to do. Let's just go back to the squad, if I could, for a second. You seem to kind of come in and get an assessment on the squad fairly fast and see what we had and what we weren't utilising before.
You look. I'll probably show my age here. I've been around the game a few years, you know, so I'm banging on probably 1,500, 1,600 games playing. I probably played 500, 5,500, whatever. I was a coach down at Southend for 500 games as well. So I'm now chasing 500 games as a manager. So I think you have to assess things and you have to get a handle on things pretty quickly. I've given the lads a chance, an opportunity, and I said that to them the first day. There you go. There's a jersey there. There's a place there. There's a position there. Go and take it. Don't give it back to me. I'll give them some basics. I'll give them the brilliant basics. I love that, and that's probably just an ordinary basic person myself. So I tend to live by them golden rules. You know, do your job and do it well and do it effectively. No prima donnas and no egos, and we're team and togetherness and a bond and all the usual nonsense. I could stay here all night talking about it, but yeah, look, the lads responded. The lads responded, and without them buying in, we probably wouldn't be sitting here having this chat. I'd probably be chased out of town by the time, by now. But and no doubt, look at that day might come. So I'm determined to enjoy it as best we can. But I'd like to bring this group of players a little closer to that end of the table, the top end of the table. I'd like to take them on a little bit of a journey, because I just think there's some real good lads in there, real good characters, real good pros. One or two of them need a clip around the year. And look, one or two of them have given me a clip around the year. One or two of them have come up to me. We've had our debates, we've had our arguments. So I love all that, and that's brilliant. I respect all that. But I just think the lads have got a real chance. They've got a real chance of doing something in their career, achieving something in their career. But my job coming through the door was to make sure they had offers, to make sure they were noticed, and to make sure that they had people speaking to them at the end of the season. I did not want a group of lads just to slip off into the sunset and not have any futures, not have any careers, not have any offers, not have any contracts put in front of them at the end of the season. And I'm still determined to make sure each and every one of our squad members has something positive put in front of them at the end of the season. Now, if that's from Waterford, that's brilliant. If that's elsewhere, that's brilliant as well. But it's the onus is on the player to go and make sure he builds his future, builds a career, because this is a brilliant job. It's a great job. It's the best job in the world, and I keep saying that to them.
I think we should speak about Tommy Lonergan. Before we obviously want to get to you and your career and all that kind of stuff, but just while we're talking about the current squad, Tommy's been, a revelation almost over the last few weeks. He's now the top goal scorer in the league. Obviously, as we speak now, he's just been awarded the Player of the Month award, which is not something that Waterford gets showered with a hell of a lot. But how important has been unlocking Tommy? And also, you did mention like Podge being the top goal scorer before, but now we've got two top quality strikers both scoring at the same time.
Yeah, I probably look. Tommy's one of them lads that you want to adopt. He's one of them footballers, one of them young kids. You want to adopt him, you want to look after him, you want to cuddle him, you want to put your arm around him. He's a brilliant kid. But again, I need to be careful. I don't want too much of the focus to be on Tommy, and that's not being disrespectful to Tommy. This is a team game, and look, Tommy will be the first one to pat Podge on the back.
Yeah.
Podge will be the first one to pat Tommy on the back. But I guarantee you them two lads will be patting Canny and Stevie and John Mann and Longy on the back as well, because the back line is so strong with the goalie. We got a really, really effective wing backs. Benny Couto, 3 assists the weekend against Bowes, and Conan Noonan is now starting to come into his own. We just got Ev back as well from injury, like a new signing. Dean and Luke have been in there as well, losing Jono. There's so many good things and good people and good players at that football club. We are in danger of forgetting about those players, and we are in danger of lauding and giving all the plaudits to the goal scorers. But let me tell you, John Mann was very, very close to getting player of the month this month as well. His blocks, the character, the nature of the man. Canny and Longy, Stevie and goal wouldn't have been far behind. Young Ev coming out of that physio room, the fitness levels he showed over the last couple of weeks is immense. So, yeah. Basically, my message is I don't want to get sidetracked on Tommy. I would rather speak about them all. I'd rather speak about each and every one of them. And there's a number of players that I haven't mentioned. The likes of Jurgen coming off the bench, the impact he's given us and the energy he's given us. So there's a lot more to come from this group of boys. There's a lot more to come from the squad, and hopefully there's a lot more to come from Tommy as well. Tommy will have his targets. He'll have his objectives. Come what the end of the season as well. I know he has a target of 20 goals. But I wouldn't rule out Podge catching Tommy either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't rule out a Waterford player getting player of the month again, not just the striker, but one of the other lads, because they're in that type of form, they're in that type of vein, and they have the devilment in their eyes now. You can see the hunger, you can see the desire. They're actually like men possessed when they go out on the football pitch, and that's brilliant to work with.
Yeah, it's absolutely class. And like you mentioned, even Jono and then Benny, with this long throw that seems to be unlocked as well. That just came out of nowhere.
Well, listen, I could give you a tale about the training ground on Friday, to be honest, or Thursday, was it?
Yeah.
Saturday. I'm getting my days mixed up. The day before the Bows game.
Saturday, yeah.
With the long throw and things like that. But I won't put Podge on the spot, and I won't put Benny on the spot. But look, we have a bit of fun in training as well, and. To be honest, a big centre half, something happened in training with a throw in, and I looked over my shoulder and I just looked at Longy. I've never seen a centre half on the ground creased up as much, and that's a story that might come out at the end of the season.
Maybe.
But it was funny. It was a funny little episode. But yeah, you're right. We didn't. Benny couldn't throw the ball that far in training, and we were looking at him now. We had to measure the RSC pitch, because that must be a miniature pitch, because in training he certainly wasn't reaching the box. But he come away the other day. We asked him to take a few throw-ins as well, and he come off the training ground. Such is his confidence at the minute. Gaffer, do you think I'm like Messi? So that's where he is at the minute. But like I said, to him, Messi can't take throw-ins either. So I think he was determined on Sunday to prove me wrong. But they were a hell of a weapon,
and a hat-trick of assists as well. He's been brilliant. But all of them have. It's when you sit down and speak about the squad. I met a couple of gentlemen out in Tramore yesterday. I was out for a walk, and we sat down and when we brought about one player, all of a sudden we were talking about another player, and it's brilliant. It's been a while since we can have so much of a connection, I think, with so many players as fans. But you brought Lee Bullen with you. How important has Lee been to the whole thing?
Lee's brilliant. Lee's a lad who he's managed himself. He's managed up in Scotland in Ayr. He was the under-21 manager at Sheffield Wednesday, and he'd stepped into the interim on numerous occasions, interim manager with Sheffield Wednesday as well in the Championship and League One. I've known Lee since we played together 2005. I played against him as well when I was in Scotland in about 98, 99, something like that, 2000. Bully will have a better memory than me, because I headed more balls than him, obviously. So he'll have a far better memory. But he's been brilliant. He's got a wealth of experience. He's been around the world. It wasn't until we'd done a meet and greet at a previous club that I actually realised he's been to so many countries.
That's right.
He's travelled. He's well travelled. He's well experienced. And look, he's just a calming, cooling influence. I lose the head a little bit. I'm red haired and freckles. I'm a typical Irish man. I'm like, so I get a bit heated up at times. I get a little bit feisty because I just want to win. passionate and things like that. So Bully brings a bit of calmness to me, and he organises. He's good with the lads. He's really good. He puts on really good sessions, and above all, he knows the game. He's an experienced man. And look, he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant not only for me, but for the football club and for the players. So, he's been a great guy. Great guy.
He is a great guy, in fairness. Talk to us about yourself a little bit, though, Graham. You grew up in Clondalkin in Dublin, and you played, I suppose, your youth football, at least, with Cherry Orchard, like many did. How was all that experience?
We're far better off talking about the club and the players.
I know, we want to know a little bit about you as well.
Come on, Jesus, nobody needs to know about me. Listen, I'm uncomfortable talking about bloody myself and things like that. I get a little bit, I'd much rather talk about all the good things that are happening at the football club. Now, once you get me going, you won't stop me.
No, but
I'll never shut up.
We have to go a little bit into your playing career, so we want to know what the pathway was at least. But Cherry Orchard, like a place that I know quite well myself, as we spoke about before, but that as a football club has turned out an incredible amount of players for the local area that it is.
Yeah, listen, it's a hotbed. But I thought my time at Cherry Orchard was unbelievable. I loved that. I'd spent 12 years there. I made my debut for the senior team at 15, and that was unheard of back then. I was pretty much a regular in the senior team, Leinster Senior League, and on a Saturday and Sunday, I'm pretty much a regular by the time I was 16, 17. I had some great coaches, Jimmy Winters and Joe Healy. John Wilkes was the father figure of us all as well. But I think that the big thing about Cherry Orchard was that's where I developed my winning mentality. That's where I developed the desire, the passion, the professionalism, the standards, that I adhere to every day. So when I went into the senior team, you had so many top lads that were. I was a young lad, and they were absolutely brilliant with me. They were kicking me up the arse and clipping me around the ear when I needed it. You can imagine I was a 16-year-old kid who needed it, and they got me on the right path, and they showed me right from wrong. And there was just so many lads in there, and that group of lads that I grew up with, seniors, they won the FEI Junior. We won Leinster Senior Leagues. The football club was brilliant for me, and it was great when I went away then to England, because I went to Blackburn. Yeah. And I probably inherited more household names, but similar type of characters, similar type of players, similar type of professionals. Now, I know we were only amateur lads at Cherry Orchard, but I had that amount of father figures in the changing room at Cherry Orchard. I had a similar amount of father figures in the changing room at Blackburn, real leaders getting a hold of you. And I put them down to both clubs. I put the grounding that I got and the leadership that the players showed me, and the professionalism that the players showed me, getting on my case quite a lot. I put that down to why and how I had longevity, and how I ended up in England for probably the best part of 32 years. Yeah,
but also you went from being you spent a bit of time in Bray in between, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I had a little spell out in Bray. We actually played Waterford in the final, in the cup.
There you go.
No, it was a shield, I think.
At the time?
Yeah. We played, I think we played down here in the RFC on, it might have been a Friday night, and I think we got beat 3-0.
Good.
But then we beat them 4-0 on the Sunday.
Yeah.
No, it was 3-0 on the Sunday. I went to penalties, I'm sure. You might remember it better than me, Jesus. But yeah, I think we won it anyway. They were memories. And I remember playing and then coming in after the game, and Pat Devlin pulling me in the office. Somebody wanted to have a chat with me. And I'm going, who wants to have a chat with me, and stood in the office was Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I was a Man U fan, and Kenny Dalglish, and bear in mind, Man United was my club, and I'm kind of Kenny Dalglish, but he played with Celtic as well. I'll give him that one.
Yeah.
I was like gobsmacked, and I didn't know what to say, and he was, would you like to come over, Blackburn and things like that, and we'd like to have you over. And of course, I was kind of, you just, what do you say? So yeah, they took us over. I went over, I had a week over there, and then bear in mind I was working as well, so I had to go and get the time off work. And then they've asked, I'd come back, had another handful of games at Bray, and then they've asked us to come back over and sign permanently. So as they say, the rest is history.
And this is it. This is at a time where Kenny Dalglish is the manager. The Blackburn have just won the Premier League as well. So it was that time where they were the club.
Yeah.
Pretty much, something in cheer, all that kind of stuff. And they bring you over. So to be playing at Cherry Orchard and the senior team was 15, then you're at Bray there. You must have been at quite a level yourself as a player.
Look, that's obviously being biased. I'll probably say yes.
Yes, well, it's there.
Look, I done okay. Look, I gave me all. I was honest, hard working. I wasn't the most technical of players. I done the basics well, and I carved out a luxurious career. I was able to give my wife and my kids a brilliant upbringing, and we got some nice things in life through honest hard work, through graft, through grit, through determination. Probably quality. I probably put quality at the bottom of my list, but I dug deep, and I gave myself the best opportunity that I possibly could, and I maximised the little bits and pieces of talent that I was graced with.
Well, you've said it yourself, the amount of games you had as a player, as a coach, as a manager, but like you were at Blackburn, obviously that's where you learned your craft as a professional, if you like, a couple of loans, but Livingston seemed to be a real landing spot for you. You made 180 appearances or something for them.
Yeah, Livingston was brilliant. I really enjoyed. I went out on loan to Swindon when I was in the Championship, when I was at Blackburn. Blackburn were Premier League at the time. And I went out and I thought, like all young lads do, thinking I was up to it and thinking I just wasn't up to the Championship standard at that time. We played a couple of games and I knew myself deep down, I was out of my depth. The game was just too quick for me. The players were just too good for me. I think we played Norwich, we played Ipswich, and they were top quality teams at that time, aiming to get into the Premier League. And that was a harsh lesson. And I kind of re-engaged and sat down and thought about my career and where I was going, because I then had to get some games under me, and this is why I use the loan market with the young lads so well, or I like it so much, because you learn so much when you go out on loan. So I went out on Livingston on loan. They were League 2 in Scotland, and then we won that league. And then I decided to stay in Scotland and make that a permanent move. We won League 1, and I was obviously club captain, and we got into the SPL, and it just took off for me then. But the decision I made was to, crawl, walk, and then run, and that's an analogy that I use in the dressing room now, and I've stuck with throughout my career. Because when I went to Swindon, I think I was trying to run before I could walk, run before I could crawl. I just wasn't up to that level at that time in my career. So yeah, I had to take a step back. What did they say? Take one step back to go two forward. Yeah. So that's where I was when I assessed myself, my own performance, because I knew deep down I was out of my depth playing in the Championship at that stage of my career. So Livingston was brilliant. We got all the way up into the SPL, and and then I met a man in Scotland, Paul Sturrock, and probably changed the day I met Paul Sturrock. That changed probably my perception on life, my perception on my future, my perception on my career. He was such an influence on me, and still is a massive influence on myself 25 years later, 26 years later.
How do you end up in Sheffield then? You call Sheffield your home. You live, your house is there. You spend so much time at Wednesday. How does that all come about?
Well, I went from Livingston. I went to Plymouth with Paul Sturrock. I went down with him. Went for lunch. Met him. He was trying to sign me. Thought it was a great conversation. We got up. Paul left. Paul said he had to go to the toilet. So he was a manager. Remember, he was a manager trying to sign me. We had soup, we had sandwiches with tea. There was no coffee back then in them days. Jesus, it was 20-odd years ago, 26 years ago. So Paul shook our hands. He said he was off to the toilet, and that was it. So we're sitting there in the restaurant in Scotland, 10, 15 minutes, and he's not coming back. So we got up to leave, and the waitress comes over and says the bill isn't paid. So I don't know why I followed him down to Plymouth, because he hasn't changed to this day. But I ended up signing for him, go down to Plymouth, and look, at Plymouth was just probably the best 5 years of my career. I had my kids, so I was top goal scorer actually. 1 year we got promoted from League 2. Player of the year, and there was loads and loads of individual and accolades that I could go through, but Plymouth was just one of those purple patches in your life and your career, and it lasted 5 years. We got promoted up into the Championship, and this time I was ready to play in the Championship. I was ready, I was experienced, and I had enough wool on my back to play in the Championship. Done ever so well, and it was a really sad day leaving the club, because we'd built it up. Even the ground, the stadium, seen it built, seen it grow. 4,000 people in my first game. The last game I played there was 22,000. Wow! So yeah, we seen it grow, we seen it develop, and it was sad how it turned out. Plymouth was trying to profit, maybe asset strip, a lot would say. That's something I wouldn't want to get involved in. But the club then, a few years later, fell into difficulties financially. So I was probably the first one that they were an asset that they could sell. And they were trying to sell me to Bristol City. And I only found out about it through second and third parties, through Brian Tinian, the manager then at the time at Bristol City, and I was a little bit disappointed. But I didn't know the trouble Plymouth was going through at the time. I ended up, it'd be on my terms. I'd leave on my terms, not on their terms, given what I'd done over the 5 years. So I went to Sheffield Wednesday. I was going from a crowd of 22,000. I'm shouting your name. I'm now going to a crowd where you're getting 35, 40,000 shouting your name. And it was just, that period in my life, that period in my playing career was just a dream come true, really, because you don't take a kid off the streets of Clondalk and a kid out of Cherry Orchard and you don't put him on Hillsborough Stadium in front of 35, 40,000 people captaining a football club of that size. That just doesn't happen. That's fairy tale stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And then you're walking out at Bramall Lane in the Sheffield Derby and you're leading the team out, and I just, look, you get me going here. I told you I wouldn't shut up.
This is the point. This is what the podcast is about.
I told you I wouldn't stop. But yeah, I can't explain it. I kicking a ball, and I put many a window through on my street. Many a neighbours was out giving out to me. But I don't know how I've come from the streets of Bonahoe, Clondalk, and played Cherry Orchard, and I've ended up captaining Sheffield Wednesday in derbies and going out against Leeds. And bear in mind, all these championship games were live on Sky. I'm now live on Sky every week, or every second week. The Goals is on every Saturday, every Sunday that the family, the friends are watching. And I just, I would probably dream come true stuff, but I was living the dream. I was loving it, really, really loving it. And along the way, I had 3 kids and all, well, 2 at that time. So life was just going brilliant. We built up our business, and life was going great. Life was, it couldn't get any better, really.
How did you decide to become a manager then?
That was more down to Dave Hughes, youth team manager at Shrewsbury. He got me involved with the youth team at Shrewsbury. Brought me in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Saturday mornings, helping with the youth team, taking sessions. Got a real feel for it. Pushed me to do my B licence, and then I done my A licence. Finished playing at Shrewsbury, and Paul Sturrock rang me. He just said to me, "Look, I've got a job. Make your way down to Southend." Sent me through the postcode. I did not know where I was going or what I was going down for. Walked into Paul Sturrock's office on the Monday morning, his first day, my first day, 1st of July, pre-season. He chucks me. I'm waiting on him to chuck me, I don't know, a contract. No, I hadn't signed the contract. Waiting on him to chuck me some kit. No, didn't chuck me any kit. He chucked me a whistle and he chucked me a stopwatch. And I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? He's get your ass out on the grass. You got lads waiting on you. Go and put a smile on the face. I'll do all the tactics. You do all the training. And that was it. That was it. And that is as plain and simple as where or how I started. And I'm like, I'm running around. You can imagine, I'm running around in my head in a tizzy. I didn't even have numbers. I didn't even have who was training, who wasn't training. And bear in mind, it's the 1st of July. I had no cohesion or sit down meeting with the S&C guys. We didn't have one. It was just bonkers. It was just crazy. But slowly built from there, and then Phil Brown come into Southend, and I was assistant manager with Phil, and like I said, a brilliant time at Southend as well. We stabilised the club. We got to the JPT final. The club, Phil, Paul Sturrock, the owner. It was a bit of a handover where Paul Sturrock was leaving and Phil was taking over. The owner come to me and asked me would I lead the team out at Wembley. This was me wearing a suit on a Sunday afternoon in a JPT playoff final against Crewe, and I've got my suit on, I've got my flowers on my thing and all this, and you only wear suits if you're going to court or you're going to a wedding, and this was, again, like I say, dressed to impress. I couldn't wait to get my suit off. I felt so uncomfortable, but to walk a team out at Wembley as well, to lead a team out, but Phil, in fairness to him, the reward for all your hard work over the few years, and the chairman and the players wanted to give us that accolade and to thank us. But I had another 5 years then after that at Southend, got promoted, and then Darryl Clark rang me at Bristol Rovers, asked me would I come in, and I wanted to stay at Southend because I felt I had an opportunity. If Phil moved on, Phil was probably going to move on to bigger and better Premier League or something like that. So I always felt, and Phil used to always encourage me to take the job on if it come my way. So I just felt I stayed at Southend probably a year or two too long. and the job, I was really disappointed leaving because I felt I put 8 years in, 8.5 years in, nearly 500 games coaching, assistant manager. And I thought the chairman would come to me and the club would come to me and offer me the job. And they didn't. So I went with Darryl at Bristol Rovers. And then Darryl recommended me. When Darryl was departing Bristol Rovers, recommended me for the job. And that was my first real manager's job at Bristol Rovers. And then I looked at the fixture list. I was announced on the Thursday, the fixture list. We had Sunderland away on the Saturday. It was my first game as a manager ever. 40,000 up at the stadium. It was absolutely scary, by the way. It was. You're in charge of everything. You're making decisions, and you got 40,000 people baying for your blood because they'd remember us as well because we had some battles with them during my days with Plymouth and during my days with Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it was. Look, it was a hell of an experience, and really thoroughly enjoyed it. Enjoyed every minute of it. Not all of it was high, a lot of it was low, but I enjoyed the highs and the lows. And look, dream come true. You know, as I say, I've never worked a day in my life. I love my jobs. I loved every job I've done, player, coach and manager.
It's amazing. Really is. Like, I don't know why you didn't want to talk about this stuff, by the way, because it's probably the best stories and stuff that we've ever had here on the podcast. No disrespect to anyone, but it's incredible to listen to. As you mentioned yourself, Graham, I'm coming from, you know, Clondalk at Bonogue, which I know the area myself very, very well, and to be leading a team out in Wembley from there, it quite literally is dreamland stuff. For people in Waterford, like, it'd be like coming from St. John's Park or Ballybeg or somewhere like that, and all of a sudden you're walking a team out at Wembley. It's that crazy. The small things, like differences between managing in England and managing in Ireland.
Oh, good question. This probably comes from an internal and a subjective opinion. It's probably just an internal opinion. I don't feel under as much pressure, and I'm not self-scrutinising as much over here as I was over there. The negativity towards me over there, probably because I've had a background with clubs, and look, you'll always come up against rival clubs, probably because I've been around the game over there, probably because I've done ever so well over there, probably because you're Irish. I don't know. These are all just feelings. They're not facts. They're just feelings that I always got. But yeah, I don't feel as if I'm put myself under as much pressure. I'm a determined man. I'm determined to win and be as successful as I can be. But I'm not able to shake bad times off over there as quickly as well, I've not gone through too many bad times here. So three defeats. So, look, again, sometimes your arse is in the chair, but your head is elsewhere. I don't actually feel that here. I felt that a lot in England, but again, they're not good and bad towards England, towards Ireland. They're just my own internal feelings. Yeah,
I think it's interesting for the listener as well to know and to hear what the difference. Obviously, the level is different. I mean, you're talking about going to 40, like Sunderland were in League One, but getting 40,000 people coming to their games. Like, League of Ireland will hopefully get there someday. So those are obvious differences. But I think it's interesting to hear about little differences as well.
Look, the one thing the one word I would use would be pressure. There's a lot of pressure on you to succeed, and managers don't get the times that they probably need, that they probably want. You just don't get that time anymore. Now, that's probably in Ireland as well. The turnover is of manager throughout football is far too quick. Managers don't get that time, but yeah. As I say, it's probably that bit of pressure, but pressure comes from within, and I always think pressure is a privilege. Pressure makes diamonds. You know, it's a privilege, but sometimes it can become a bit too much. It can become a bit toxic. It can become a bit personal. There was a stage in my career where a club I won't name, but my missus and kids was getting verbally abused. And it's just things like that I just couldn't, and I can't, and I never will agree with. And I don't think any sports person should be abused for going out and trying to do their best. Because look, we put our head above the parapet, irrespective manager, coach, irrespective of what sport you're in. You go out and you try your best, and every sports person in the world tries to win. And this abuse that gets chucked at people, they've tried. They've given it their all. They've tried their best. Why not say that, and why not say, well, thanks, it didn't work out, shake their hand and wish them all the best? Instead, we have a society, we have a social media platform that people just want to go and abuse people, and I just don't get that. I just can't get it. I'd rather sit down with someone and have a debate or an argument, and if I'm going to chuck a bit of negativity towards someone, I'd rather sit down in an office with them or in a room and say that to them. I don't think I could. I just don't like the fact that somebody's trying to do their jobs to the best of their ability, and you've got all these people in the background chucking all sorts of nonsense at them. And then a lot of them cross the line. They go after families, they go after kids, they go after wives. It's a naughty. Some of it is naughty. Some of it shouldn't go on. But
I think that's social media. No matter what field you're in, football, the arts, music. I think that's just it's a situation we've gotten ourselves in. Tell me this, outside of football, is there life outside of football? Is there other things you're interested in? Music, films, anything like that?
Oh yeah, look, I love a good film. With my young'un, she picks the film. She's terrible at picking films. And 10 minutes into the film, she'll be on her phone, or she'll be on her iPad, or she'll be asleep. Mrs. was over last week. I love a little kiss and a cuddle on the settee, watching a little movie with her. I love getting around and about. We were down in Cove last week. I love travelling. I'm mad into my sport. I love my boxing. I'm not really a golfer, but look, I'll watch any sport. I was watching the athletics this week, cheering on the boys and the girls in green. I love anybody puts on an Irish vest, an Irish shirt, an Irish jersey. I'm cheering them to the rafters. I don't know a thing about rugby, but I love watching it because if Ireland are playing. But yeah, look, I'm sport daft, sport mad. Probably favourite sport. I'd probably go down the line of the boxing. I love the boxing.
Yeah.
Obviously the GAA was at the semi-final there a couple of weeks ago, Dublin and Kerry, which was a new experience. You know, it must have been 30 years since I was at a Dublin game in Croke Park, so that was brilliant. I enjoy going out for food, and most importantly, I enjoy going out and having a beer. And if you can get me on the dance floor, you won't get me off it. I love all that. I love that side of life. I'm getting to an age where I have to enjoy myself. I have to enjoy myself. And look, if people criticise me for doing that, so be it. But I'm determined to enjoy life.
No, I don't think anyone will criticise you for that, Graham. Now, in fairness. But just before we finish up, if we get back,
see me dancing.
Yeah, well, that's true. But before we finish up, just to get back to where we are today, you know, with the squad, with this group of players, you know, you're singing their praises, and rightly so. What do you think the future holds for this squad of players going forward, even for the rest of the season?
I think the future is in their hands. I think the future is in their hands. What do they want? Where do they want to be? How well do they want to do in their career? Because they have shown the last 3 months that they can compete with the top teams, they can compete with the best in the division. Now, how ambitious are these players? How driven, how determined are these players? And again, they've shown how ambitious and how driven they are in this period. When we go through a little sticky period, and when things are not going our way, I'm very, very confident that this group will roll their sleeves up and fight their way through it, because they've shown that already. So I would say the ceiling is endless. I would say the ceiling is endless. There's a number of lads in the squad that I think could go and play in England. There's a number of lads in the squad that I think could go and play in the top 4, top 5 of this division, League of Ireland. There's a number of lads in the squad that I think could carry this club on to bigger and better. So yeah, look, and I don't think they're fooling me either. I think I'm being genuine there, and I think they're being genuine in their performances. So I'm not getting overawed or overrun or getting the wool pulled over my eyes by the lads. I genuinely think they're a brilliant group of lads, and it's up to them how far they want to go and how far they want to take their careers. And like I say, it's a brilliant career. So go and maximise it and go and make the most you can of it, and get out of the game what you can. You'll only get out of the game what you put in, so you've got to be prepared to put a lot of work in, and they do, and they have. And it'll be interesting to see over the next 4, 5, 6 years how the careers and the pathways and where they end up and that, because I think we've got a really good group of lads who haven't really fulfilled their potential. Even now, they still have a lot of growth and a lot of development in them. So it'll be an interesting watch. It'll be a very interesting watch.
To say the least. Graham Coughlan, thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me.